We'll call this meeting to order, the Budget Committee. Anyone wishing to address the commission may do so at this time. You have 3 minutes. Okay, see no one, so we'll get right into new business. Sheriff Mullins, it's all up to you, or Mr. Britton.
We'll kind of tag team.
Okay.
And to start with, and then the sheriff can take over from there. Just to make sure that we've done all our dissemination of information, you should have a new tab 33 for the jail, and from draft 1 to a draft 2 for the jail budget. And so be sure that that's the one you're reading off of as we go through tonight. You should also have a copy of the presentation as well. That's the orange pages. You should also have sheets that discuss the jail organizational chart, the corrections department organizational chart. That's the one with the blue pieces on it. And then the jail staffing for the new facility. You should also have a cost-related, a breakdown on the cost for the jail staff, and then a cost breakdown on the SRO program. So those are what were distributed today.
What's the SRO breakdown look at, because I'm not seeing something. Okay, thank you. That's why, thank you, sir.
Any questions on that? Because we will refer to those from time to time as we go through it. Okay, we'll be going through all the departments that the sheriff manages. Start with tab 30, which is court security. Run through tab 34, which is the workhouse, and then we'll talk about the SRO program, and then we'll address the drug fund after that. So, as far as tab 30, that's the courtroom security.
As far as the courtroom security, there's not going to be no extra employees. We have 9 full-time employees for court security. They handle all courts in this building and at the Justice Center. They also do all of our mental health transports. We'll have their own call for 1 week. We got a primary and a secondary. We have 11 part-time court security, and they cover the Justice Center as well as the courthouse as well. We have it's a rank structure in the court security. We have 1 lieutenant. He's a lieutenant over the court security, and plus he's a GDI, which is a general departmental instructor. He handles everything with all of our trainings, putting stuff in for post, keeps everybody certified in their schools. Also, they're in charge of the honor guard, getting people lined up for honor guard details, schedulings, maintains all the training files. We also have a sergeant. He's a secondary department instructor as well. He conducts hearings in-house. He helps with small IT problems within the sheriff's department, and records requests, maintains weapons, vehicle inventory, and coordinates vehicle repairs. And so everybody has a dual role in a lot of different positions. Overall increase for the courtroom security was $8,604 from the previous budget, but that is due to the uptick in cost of insurance. No new monies in court security. That's all I have for court security. Next would be the sheriff's office itself.
That'd be tab 31.
Okay.
In the sheriff's office, we have an overall decrease of $66,808 from the previous budget. We have 37 law enforcement post-certified officers and 5 civilian staff. Salaries decreased by $28,830 in deputies. There's 18 deputies, including a process server and 2 school resource officers that's paid out of that line item. There was a decrease in the captain's pay due to my previous position and the seniority there. Salary decrease in the lieutenant's line item of $21,607. Decrease as well in the sergeant's line item, a decrease of $4,442. Medical insurance was decreased by $35,733. There was an increase, if you look at in line item 322 in the sheriff's office, evaluation and testing. That went from $3,000, asking for $6,000, an increase of $3,000. That's the increase of testing for new hires. In line item 334, maintenance and agreements, that was an increase of $2,000, and that's the increase for the annual fees for our PTS system, our reporting system for calls.
Excuse me, Sheriff. That you had just gave a line item 334 and said ours is showing 10,000. Is that an error there? An increase of 10.
Maintenance
We're
and
not in
repair
the sheriff.
vehicles.
I'm sorry. You're correct. Let's start with the sheriff's department line item 187,
Okay.
overtime pay.
Yes.
We've asked to increase the overtime pay $10,000, projected increase in the detective caseloads, and increase in training for our new facility. Like we've mentioned before, once we do the transition, it's going to be a lot of overtime, a lot of hands on deck to get everything moved over. So that's the reason for that. Line item 334, maintenance agreements. That is an increase of $10,000. That $10,000 is an increase in annual fees for leads online. That's what our investigators use for pawn shops and stuff, for things that's stolen. On our reports, they can put in serial numbers and stuff. If this stuff lands at a pawn shop, it automatically emails us. It's a great tool for our investigators. PTS is our reporting system. It's also, the $10,000 is because all of these has went up. Pulsium, our Axon, our cameras, Cellbrite machine, where we can dump telephones in investigations, that's went up. And Midwest Radar, that's who certifies our radar units in the patrol cars. Line item 353, towing services. We was budgeted $2,000. That's for our own vehicles for we break down. If narcotics seizes something that we have to have a record service pays for that, we're asking for that to go from $2,000 to $4,000. Line item 451, uniforms. Taking it from $8,590 to $12,000. Cost of honor guard uniforms, just an outfit, one individual with honor guards, over $700. At times, we have to have at least 7 from us. It's a split ordeal with us and the police department. Every event, every detail is half police department, half sheriff's department. So if they're doing full detail, we're gonna have at least 7 or 8 from the sheriff's department, 7 or 8 from the police department. One capital purchase for a Ford Explorer for our detective. We're one vehicle shy there. And that's all for the sheriff's office. $4,200. For in-service and staff development, training has increased $4,200, but most of that, and I'll get into where that money will basically come from. That's going to come from the grant money that we've received. Some of the costs will be reimbursed through that grant. As y'all know, that we have applied since September 1st, we have applied and received 2 grants totaling $476,082 to this date. Plus, we've applied and received a $1,500 Elks scholarship that we received, and it will go toward academy costs for one cadet. And then we also just won a $500 or awarded a $500 K-9 grant. If you followed any of that on Facebook, we come in 3rd place out of over $800.
Amen.
That's all I have for the sheriff's office.
Mr. Mullins, you said you had tab 322. I don't have that in our line item, line item, excuse me. What was that for?
Evaluation and testing. That was, I'm sorry, that was supposed to be under courtroom security, that 322.
Back on the other one. Yeah, okay. There it is, okay. Okay.
Next will be the jail. Tab 32 in y'all's book.
Yeah.
In the sex offender budget, the budget remains the same as last year. No change. To explain to you what our sex offender, we've got one civilian employee, Jody, that is over our sex offenders. She also does work release, bookkeeping. She puts her stuff on Gov Deals, our vehicles, our seized vehicles and things of that nature. And this is actually Sex Offender Month. These people have to come in, report to her. She keeps up with them throughout the whole year. If they move, they have to notify her. If they get a new vehicle, they have to notify her, and she keeps up with that throughout their. Tab 33, the jail. And as of today, I checked, we have population of the jail today is 311 inmates. Out of that 311, 76 of them are female. And we're currently housing 60 state prisoners.
Sir, are the 60 out of the 311?
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll talk about the new jail before we get into some of this other stuff. PCI done a staffing analysis of the jail and recommended that we needed 128 employees to operate this new facility in total, not 128 new ones, but a total of 128 employees. The chief and I and the jail administration, we've looked at it and we think that we can operate this new jail at this number of inmates with only 97. That would be only meaning 41 new employees, taking it from 128 to 97. There's been an increase in inmates that will require more transports. So $48,000 we've been quoted for a transport vehicle just for the jail, and that $48,000 will be paid for out of the grant. It won't be from county funds. Increase in inmate supplies, including mattresses, which is $15,500 will be reimbursed through the jail grant. So all the new mattresses and stuff that we need for the new facility will be purchased out of the grant money that we received. An additional $2,500 will also be available for various inmate supplies. Medical and dental costs decreased this year by $5,000 based on past budgets that has been over budgeted. Drugs and medical supplies decreased by $10,000 based on the drug cap with Southern Health Partners. All the new costs associated with payroll, Social Security, medical insurance, et cetera, is an increase due to the number of new correction officers.
Sheriff,
Yes, sir.
one question. You said you have decreased the medical and dental and drugs and medical supplies over what it was budgeted in the past. Is that correct? Did I hear you say that?
Yes,
Okay, so they didn't use everything that was budgeted in the past,
that's correct.
and that money went where?
We'll go back to the general fund.
Okay.
If I may, real quick, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Just, I've done a few totals and such, looking at the budgets, and I want to commend the Sheriff's Department because a lot of years we get requests for additional funding. They may have requested to move a little bit here or there, but just a quick summary, if you total everything up, from the monies budgeted for the 22-23 to the estimated results, the Sheriff's Department's putting back $947,000 that they did not use back into the general fund. Almost $1 million of money that was budgeted to them, where they watched how they spent, and I just want to commend the Sheriff's Department. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Doty.
Yes, sir.
But if you look at this that we've provided, this is the way we've strategized, is see how to streamline and transition into the new facility and formulated a plan that will be efficient as well as cost-effective. Although the jail study recommended a total of 128, we can successfully, hopefully, maintain the facility with 97. I'm asking to add another captain's position to the jail. One will be an operations captain that will assist Teresa's administrative captain. And this will show the administrative captain and the operations captain, they go to the Chief Deputy Bob Ellis, and then it can come to me. But there will be a administrative captain, administrative lieutenant, administrative sergeant, and an administrative corporal, and on the administrative side. Then on the operations side is operations captain, operations lieutenant, operations sergeant, and then the shift personnel, which will be each shift. We have 4 shifts, 12-hour shifts, 4 on, 4 off. Each shift will have a sergeant, and he reports to his lieutenant, and there'll be a corporal on the shift, and everybody else will be regular correction officers.
Sheriff,
Yes.
may I ask a question? You said you had 311 now. As it increases, and unfortunately I expect it to increase, do you think the number that you have in there will take care of it?
As it increases, I'll have to have more employees.
Okay.
And I expect it to increase. We have not had a drug indictment roundup in 3 years.
Okay.
We have not. Police department has not. As soon as the district attorney gets a new grand jury and does that, our population can rise in 2 weeks.
But the way you've left it, you're going to have to hire 41 people?
Yes.
Are you having a lot of applications at this point?
We've not put it out there at this point.
Okay. Can I ask when you expect to do that?
As soon as the budget passes.
Thank you.
But it's open now. We're 7 short as it is. We used to do applications and take them for testing, PT testing, quarterly. Now, if I get 2 applicants, I take them that next day.
How many officers do you have as of today?
In the jail,
Yeah, I mean officers and all
total,
total employees as far as the jail. Officers that you have to have, how many have you got?
56,
well, just in the jail, with the captains, the supervisors, and the COs, there's 56 employees.
Okay.
Questions? So, if, just say the second floor was half full, you would staff that as if it was full.
Yes, with the new facility, our plans are, now we could be able to segregate people. Felons is not supposed to be housed with misdemeanors. So one floor will be strictly for felons. We'll have places where we can have sex offenders. You can't put some sex offenders with other people because of what happens to them. So we'll have a place, we'll be utilizing all 3 floors. One floor will be felons, one floor will be misdemeanors, one floor will be females.
Sheriff,
Yes.
so that's all part of our certification too, that you have to segregate and have all this in proper order. Yes. So if you know, we're fortunate enough to have your full staff of 97, and do you have a number of population that you can handle and be certified at that number?
Not right now, I don't. We've not got into that facility.
Sure, I understand. I didn't know if you were estimating a particular level or,
I think we can safely operate it with this number or 50, 75 more with the same amount of employees. Or we're going to attempt to anyway.
well, sure. I appreciate you doing that.
Excuse me, sir. Okay, so if you had some federal prisoners,
Excuse me?
60 federal,
State.
Stay.
oh, state, okay. So do we, is that because we're nice, or they have to be here, or how do we get separate funds by having them?
We get $41 a day for housing the state.
So, thank you. If we had 10 more bad guys that are Hamblen County, could we say, oh, we can't keep these state inmates, we need to send them to another county?
Another county?
Well, or, yes, sir?
No. Usually our state inmates are waiting to be, after their sentence, to go to the penitentiary. And you can't possibly get a bed. Teresa, what's the best we can do? 4 or 5 beds at a time?
Maybe 8 sometimes, and that's just what.
Well, I guess what I would hate to have happen is if you can accommodate, say, 400 inmates and not be decertified, okay? And then all of a sudden, 10 more bad guys show up. It's like a restaurant that has 10 tables. If I have and all 10 tables are busy and 2 more people want to sit there, in a jail, could put another one in that jail cell, but at a restaurant you can't because you can't. And I'm kind of wondering, where do we say, whoo, I don't want to spend $100 million and be decertified, I guess is what I'm really getting to.
Just because we have 400, we will not be decertified. It's 621 beds.
Okay. And as long as we stay under that number,
Yes, you're not going to get decertified if you're 10 over.
okay. Okay, thank you.
But isn't it also an idea that if a felon is here in Hamblen County, that we house that state inmate until they have a place for him to go? I mean, we don't have a choice for that.
Yeah, we don't send them to
Okay.
other.
Right,
I
see,
didn't
we
know that.
don't have a choice for that, they're here.
But we also get paid
Yeah,
to have
right,
them.
right.
Yeah.
But once a
After
judge
conviction.
sentences them to state time, we have to house them until there's an opening at a state facility.
To have a judge sentence.
Say again, please.
It's important to have a judge sentence.
Okay,
Selected confinements cannot go to, and that would be like somebody got 10 years to serve a year at the county jail.
okay.
We
Okay.
average 45 state inmates a year. That brings in 600,000.
Okay. Also, with the new jail, with the technology, I really would have assumed well, of course, if you can do it with 97, and they're saying 128, we're doing pretty good if we can get 97. But isn't there more push button, nobody has to be out there amongst?
Yeah, they're going to have to be out there amongst, but if you see what we've got now, the
Yes, sir.
pods, it's going to be so much safer for the inmates.
Yeah.
I've got some visuals to show today. Just today herself, we had one stabbed in the neck, stabbed 5 times, one time in the neck. Brought what he was stabbed with. Also on a shakedown, I brought in to show you guys what parts of the building they're tearing off to make weapons. Chief, you want to show them now? This is
Dear me.
this is what our officers is going in to feed, to give mail.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
This is nothing that was snuck into the jail. This is something that was tore from the building.
Sheriff, what's the starting pay for your correction officer?
Right now, it's $15.52.
Trash bag strings, keeping the hand.
And he starts in the,
Amazing.
thank you.
Correction.
But currently, it's $15.56.
Oh, that's, okay, I see what that is. I
Nope,
thought
that
was in a
cut.
bag. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sheriff, I guess I have the same question I asked for. If you staff, to the second floor.
This was used today, you stabbed the guy 5 times.
That's the last
with the trash bag tie, right?
Now, what did that come off of?
Invented, weren't they?
Okay, that's a good question.
Seal,
Yeah.
something.
One shows up, you got
Windows.
We're hoping we
How
can,
do they get 'em
we can
off without
operate this
being
jail
caught?
what we're asking. We may have to have more once we get over there, because it's a brand-new facility.
Yeah.
But this is
Okay.
what we're
And
trying
they
to
just
staff.
found it, yeah.
Sheriff, what is the cost of an inmate per day?
That's something I really don't know.
I mean, we're not making a lot of money off state prisoners.
You're not gonna make a lot of money on state prisons, no.
It's about a wash,
My
wouldn't you
It's
say?
$41 a day, but what does it cost per day to house one?
Right. So, I mean, the last I heard, it was like almost just a push.
Do you wear
It's not a whole lot. But I guess at the end of the year, it's a help.
Get enough of them.
So,
Talking about bulletproof vest,
yes, sir.
doesn't work against the night. You got a vest on, I got a knife.
Sheriff, are we capturing everything back from the state that we can?
Bullet won't, but a knife.
This will, with the new position to lighten the load on Captain Laws, that she could spend more time on it to capture as much as possible, yes.
So there's a possibility
Right
that
now,
there...
she's doing it all by herself.
Sure, sure. Okay.
With the new classification system in place, are you having less stabbings and so forth? To my understanding, it's in place, so let me ask that question first. Is your new classification in place?
It is in place, but you can't prevent stuff like this. This is part of the building. The plexiglass. And we do shakedowns periodically, more often than not. And we can take this and go back in. That was on 4/17 and 23, and we've done them since. We can go in tomorrow, we'll find another one.
Is the new jail going to be real safe so we can't pull apart like that?
Yes, they're gonna be in the steel cells. They ain't gonna pull them apart.
They'll do that.
No.
If they cut their mattress up, they'll sleep in the metal.
Yes. We had an attempted jail escape 2 months ago, less than 2 months ago. They take one of our new employees. He's going into what we call WCOT, which is a felony pod area. It's open. There's 30 inmates in there, all felons. They take the guys, he does his hourly walkthrough, and as he's coming out, they grab him. When he gets on the radio, tells them to pop the door. They grab him, they set him inside, and 2 run out and shut the door. So he is locked in there for 17 minutes with 27 convicted felons surrounded him since he's quit.
I don't blame you.
But they ran back and forth. They went to all doors trying to kick those steel doors open. I've got video of it if anybody wants to see it. But that was the end of that boy's career.
Are you still having a lot of aggression toward the officers that work directly inside the jail? I know you've had some problems in the past, that we've had officers hurt that have not, to my understanding, returned to work.
Yes. We're dealing with different times. Gangs is a big issue now. Everybody's affiliated with a gang, especially they are once they get in jail, so they'll have some protection.
Safety.
So, I look forward to the new facility. Can't wait to get into the new facility. Now we open a pod, we're going into 30 to 40 inmates. Over here, we pop one, we're gonna deal with 2. So it's gonna be a whole lot safer for them as well as the officers.
Sheriff, one question. Do we have a booking fee that we charge each prisoner when they come in? I noticed a county west of us here, I noticed in their budget, they had a booking fee.
We do not have a booking fee. But that does it. As far as I know, we do not have a booking fee. That is done through the Teresa West office.
Okay.
Row 41? Yes.
Okay, if you'll look at sheet that you have in front of you, the cost of new correction staff. In the budget, handled in communication and in coordination with the Sheriff's Department, we budgeted the new jail staff a little differently than normally. We budgeted the current staff for a full year, of course, as we always do. And for the 41 new positions, what we did is we budgeted half or 21 of those positions for 6 months. We will not, from the last report from Blaine Construction, the building is to be turned over to us in May of next year. And then it'll take 3 or 4 months for us to get it ready to move in. So what the Sheriff's Department wants to do and what is being recommended by TCI is that they go ahead and hire some of the staff and get them trained and get them working in the current facility. We have a transition team that's already at work developing policies, and they walk through the new facility every Friday just to look at it and be familiar with the lines of sight and that kind of thing. So we're going to budget 21 positions for 6 months. And then we're going to budget 20 others for 3 months, for April, May, and June. And so what's on your screen and on the handout is what the cost is. Now, this is the personnel cost, the salary and benefits for those positions. The equipping and training, all 41, is in the budget. Equipping and training for all 41 is in the budget. And then the personnel costs are 6 months for 21 and 3 months for 20. So now, at the bottom of that page, you'll see like fiscal year 24. Well, let me back up. In the proposal, in the budget proposal that's before you is raising the starting pay for corrections officers to $17 an hour, from $15.52 to $17. So that's already in your budget document. Is the 7 for the new positions? It is for the new positions. It is. All right. So just looking forward. All right, so what does that mean if we budget just for a half year for 21 and 3 months for 20? Is we have the figures for staffing for a full year for the 41 positions, and that's about $2.5 million for those 41 positions. And the difference between what is currently in the budget document versus what we'll need to have next year for a full year is about $1.5 million. So that gives you a little breakdown on the cost.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
quick question. I noticed when we had Mr. Eric last night, they asked for a pay study. Do you by any chance have that available for all of the Sheriff's Department?
We have a pay scale.
Okay. Well, pay study, show them what each of them get is what I'm asking about. Let me clarify my question.
They know what they get, and they've got the pay scale that shows. We have a pay plan that has skill levels, and then each position has a skill level, and then there's a range of what they can be paid on that skill level, and they've got all that.
Can we have a list that shows how many we've got at each skill level?
Sure.
Okay, I would very much appreciate that. I don't know about everybody else.
And I think one of the reasons that we try to hire them all for the whole 6 months is because it's going to be impossible to hire them at that time. We're not getting that many applicants as it is now. Hopefully with the new facility, it being safer, maybe our inmate that quit because of that might come back, but he will not work back in this jail. He's made it plain.
Sheriff, how long does it take to train a CO? If I walked in today and I said I want to be a CO, how long would it take?
We're changing all of the training for the jail, and It's going to be probably around 3 weeks.
So it's a pretty quick turnaround, then?
It is.
Okay, good.
For the uniforms and stuff for the jail, they get 4 T-shirts because there's such a turnaround. People think they may want to get in this line of work or work in the jail. Instead of buying them uniforms, they get a Sheriff's Department T-shirt for 6 months. And a lot of times we get their Sheriff's Department T-shirts back. And I hope that will change, in my opinion, once we move over here and things is a lot safer for them. It is. We've had them come, do their physical fitness, do their interview, go down to the jail, request to go to the bathroom, and never see them again.
There's also a program for another TCAT, I don't know if y'all are familiar with
Yeah,
it.
speak on that. That's going to be a good program at TCAT.
It's geared specifically for correction.
Good.
And it's supposed to come to fruition in September, which is nice because when they go through their September to, I can't remember how long the program is, I think the full program is 6 months. They come out, they're already TCI certified, they'll have to go to jail school, they probably get CPR, a few other small things. Scenario based, they have a Milo machine, they can do scenarios where they're set up for a jail cell, a jail environment, and given a scenario and how to react. So hopefully with that class going through and the anticipated opening of May, maybe that'll come together and give us some action.
That Milo machine he's talking about, TCAT's got one and Walter State's got one. The Academy uses the one at Walter State. So it's scenario-based, and there's hundreds of them. You can come in and how the officer responds to the situation. If he's got good verbal skills, then you can make your role player with the computer to surrender or whatever. But if he's not given the right skills, you can have him pull a gun on them or assault them or something of that nature.
Real life scenarios. Hopefully all that come together and provide some more improvement.
That training, are the kids, or the people paying for that themselves to be trained? Or
Speaking with them, I think that some of that's covered under the
scholarships
promise. The guy that's going to be over the program has been going to the high schools, kind of introducing that the program's coming. It's already going on in a few counties around us, a little further out, but he's already been going to the schools and trying to sell their program and let them know what's coming. So hopefully they have some applicants that want to go to that school and it'll work out.
so if they make the commitment themselves, they're interested in being a correction officer, which
They
is,
are, and our goal is to get lined out with him as he goes to these schools and also talk to them, as a joint speak with these 18-year-olds that just retired 18 now. Speak with them right out of high school, let them know this is available, maybe telling them that there is employment as soon as they're available from that program.
Commissioner, the Tennessee Reconnect program, which is it's associated with Tennessee Promise, except it's for 25 and over.
so it's funded.
Okay,
Good. Thank you.
Sheriff, Mr. Mayor said that it would be $17 an hour for their starting pay, is that correct? How is that compared to the starting pay with the pay increase for the deputies on the road? Starting pay for deputies?
$19.
That is after the raise?
Yes. And also on advertising increase of $4,500, that's to recruit new employees, social media, job fairs. Every job fair, high school, anywhere that's got anything, we're there. We're giving out brochures, information, applications, just not getting a lot of, nobody wanting to come to this jail right now. Any more questions at the jail?
I think the new jail will draw.
I think the new jail will draw, I think we will steal from other counties to come to this jail.
Which is good if they're already certified.
Yes.
Sure. The guy who was stabbed, I mean, it wasn't one of our officers, was it?
It was not, it's inmate on inmate.
Okay, so now when he does this walkthrough, is somebody keeping an eye on him when he goes in there now to the felon area?
We keep an eye on all of them.
Well, I know, but I just wonder if he has to go in there by himself still.
The correction officer?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Mm.
sometimes they do.
Okay.
They're watched on a camera,
Okay,
so there's always somebody's got their eyes on them.
okay.
Do you foresee a better response time with the new jail versus where you're at now, out of curiosity? Means you're gonna have three and four levels, out of curiosity.
It'd be pretty quick response time, the way it's laid out. And like I said, we tour the jail every Friday, and the way it's lined out, there'll be somebody that can get to an inmate within less than a minute, easy.
What about the officer, if they get, well, like the one you had a couple of years ago where that three of them attacked him and they pulled his arms out of the joints and so forth? And he's still out, to my understanding, but will that be better response time there as well?
It will. And plus, we'll have more employees in the facility. The situation with the attempted jail escape, they actually took the officer's radio from him. Luckily, they didn't assault him or hurt him at all, but they took his radio. And if he wasn't on camera, they wouldn't have known.
Thank God.
Plus, you're only gonna have two in the cell.
Correct. It's not going to be, in that case, there was 30. And two of them, the only two that got out. They run the whole entire jail. They went to the very back, kicked every door that we had. There was nowhere to go. The control room was locked, as it should be. And eventually, they got on the radio. Once you get on the radio, call for assistance in the jail. The entire city, county, highway patrol, everybody's coming. And when they come in, they took care of business. They just, basically, the guys laid down and complied and wrote them in.
Smart.
The workout. Tab 34. Overall budget here decreased by $3,724. Have two guys assigned to litter pickup, and one of those is funded completely by a grant. So there's no increase in the workhouse.
Sheriff, excuse me. Just going back to what Commissioner Doty said, just goodness, thank y'all for applying for grants and doing that. I mean, it's a win-win, and thank you.
It is. It's a lot of help from this one right here. The next one is Inspection and Regulation Civil Service Board. Tab 37. And this one, the budget remains the same as previous year, no increase. Civil Service Board is made up of 3 members. Our Civil Service Board is Dwayne Evans. He chairs the board. David Beckner, which is a retired city police officer, and then Ron Spiller. He's a retired major of a big department out of Florida. Their role is they come in, they watch the new hires. They sit in on some of their testing. If there's any grievances, that's a board that hears that. So that's basically what they do. They listen in on promotional process. Tab 54. This is our narcotics. Overall budget in narcotics decreased by $12,090. The reason for the decrease is a decrease in the rental due to the closing of the Bowman Street office that we had with HIDA, or High Intensity Drug Trafficking, which was with our narcotics officer assigned to it with the FBI. Had a office down here on Bowman Street, closed that office, and now they're utilizing the office out of Greenville. Also, the decrease was because of the building was $9,000 worth of electricity to that building that we had to pay. Had a decrease in law enforcement equipment and motor vehicles of $25,090. That's needed equipment will be purchased through the grant. And then the capital purchase for narcotics, that's a $20,000 contribution from the narcotics fund to help fund the new impound lot at Oak Trace. Any questions on those?
We also have a handout on startup costs for the resource officers, the school resource officers program that the governor has funded. The legislature has funded $75,000 per school for putting SRO in each school. We heard Mr. Bunch, he's here to answer any questions about current practice. Four SROs now, two in the high school and two in each high school. Those four SROs in the school system have school security officers. But what this plan is, and Sheriff Mullins has committed to operating this plan with cooperation with City of Morristown, the police department, as well as the school system, is to put a SRO in each school. Now, the exact details we don't have nailed down yet. This is just to give you an idea of what the costs are going to be and what the grant offsets, and then the working, I guess, the partnership that we will have with the City of Morristown and the school system and getting this up and running. We're estimating that we will need 20 SROs, 20 new SROs. We have 4 now. We'll need 20 new ones. And so what the salary and benefits for, like going to $19 an hour for a starting patrol officer, with that and benefits and retirement, health care, payroll taxes, and state retirement, we estimate it to be right at $70,000 for the personnel cost. But so that'll be covered by the grant. But the startup costs, there's no money there for the startup cost, and so I think you should have a sheet with the details. What we've put together is the startup cost for the SRO, and for 20 SROs, we're talking about $1.5 million. And that includes the training, the academy to get them post-certified, the uniforms, the vest, the weapon, tasers, all the body cameras, the radios, also, let's see, a patrol car, and the sheriff can talk about that for each one, the rifle, and then the radio that goes in the car. And then there's the reoccurring operation cost, the ammunition, the training, and the uniforms, and then the reoccurring administrative cost, which is your insurances, your workman's comp insurance and your vehicle insurance. So the initial startup is about, counting the vehicle, which is the big dollar item, is about $75,000 per officer. So and that for 20 officers, that's about $1.5 million. Now, the school system is we've talked to them about the 1.3, 1.4 million that the school system has in their budget to implement an SSO program. We've talked to Mr. Bunch about funding some of this over a 2-year period. So over a 2-year period, receiving from the school system over $1 million. We haven't nailed down an actual dollar amount, but that's kind of what we're talking about. And then the city of Morristown is also willing to contribute to that as well. We've talked to them, and the city council has talked about that and some of their budget needs, but we don't have a number from them yet. So this is still a work in progress. These numbers are not in the budget book that you have. We're still working on that. The only 2 SROs that are in your budget book are the ones we currently have. So this is just to kind of give you an idea of what we're working on, what the costs are, and what we're looking at.
Is this, we say SROs, is this for every school or every campus?
That's one of the questions we've got to nail down. The 20 puts one at every campus.
Mr. Bunch?
The 20 that we estimated would put one in each of the schools, and we were already counting on the SROs that we had. And then what we would do is we would put one in each of the 2 Russell buildings, one in each of the 2 Alpha, the Manway, and the new middle building. That's an item that we'll have to continue to work, and as I've explained, the way that I currently understand the law that was passed by the legislature. The 75,000 is one per unique school identifier, which means if we wanted to go that way, we would need 4 over and above, which is what we would then have to work to decide if we can use some of that money that we would not be paying out after a couple of years to fund additional officers to be able to support us the way that we would. That makes sense, sir?
Yes.
Could also attract officers that are already
It is, Mr. Bunch, in some meetings that we've all had, put it out to see how many people was interested in the SSO program, School Safety Officer. And I requested him to give me that list, because if we're, like I said, we're trying to take this on, I'm going to see if they want to be part of the School Resource Officer program through us. Some of them are already post-certified. I know of several that's already been through the police academy. They may only have to go through the 3-week transition school instead of the full 9-week police academy again.
Sir, does that I mean, if you're a SRO, SSO, and you go through the 3-week program and then you get the uniform and then you also get a vehicle and the AR, I mean, my golly, smack dab in 3 weeks,
That is somebody that's already done the 9 weeks.
Okay.
They have been out of law enforcement for 3 years or less. They can go through a 3-week transition school. A lot of it's online. They have to travel to Nashville to the training academy.
Yes, sir.
They have to do their driving testing down there and their firearms testing down there. And over 3 years, then you have to go back through the entire 9-week academy.
Okay, wow. All right.
Chad, with the patrol cars, could this be something rather than purchasing new patrol cars for, something that's mostly going to sit out in the parking lot in front of the school? I mean, they're not gonna be chasing bad guys and driving around town. Could we surplus some of the older vehicles out of your fleet for the SROs to drop?
We've got
Well-
some that's ready to be surplus that we're gonna hold on to,
Right.
but most of the time, when we surplus a vehicle, it needs to be gone. We run them.
But could it be something that's got some life left in it to
Yes.
use?
Yes.
Rather than you having a newer vehicle that would do you more good out on the road than it's gonna be parked in front of a school?
The older vehicles, more mileage vehicles would go to the SRO program.
Okay.
Yes.
And that would help drop that cost of,
Yes.
on the SRO.
But regardless, we're gonna, if we
You're gonna have to have
20,
vehicles. Right.
we're gonna have to have 20. I've checked with Murfreesboro Ford. That's where the state contract is. The pricing is not in, projected to be in the next 2 to 3 weeks. He's gonna contact me with the prices of the state bid.
Sheriff, I know with our resource officers we have now, they go on the road during the summertime when schools are out and they patrol. These units, I'm assuming, will do the same thing and can offset a lot of overtime used to cover for vacations and sick leave and such.
Well, that's some information I gotta get from the people that signed up for the SSO program that would have been on the school schedule. They're off all summer. I know Hawkins County, their SROs, they don't receive any overtime. They work the ball games or whatever school function that they're at. Each one of their schools has a SRO, and they accumulate comp time. So if they've got enough comp time, they can take off a couple of months in the summertime. But if not, they come in and have to work pro. And we're gonna have to work some schedule now, which we've not got done yet, of how much time, because we definitely want summertime call volumes higher. That's when we usually try to have our school resource officers now, they come in and work from 2 to 12. They, like a power shift through the main times of most of our calls. So we're gonna try to get a schedule where they may have to work 2 weeks out or 3 weeks out of the summer, working patrol, filling in, and wanting them to take their vacation during the summertime and not while they're in school.
Is there a city officer and a county officer?
Yes, right now, we have an officer at East and West High School, and the city provides an officer at East and West High School. And our plan is to keep at least 2 officers in the high schools. With a population of East High and West High, 1,500 kids.
1,500 kids in each of the schools. We really,
That's 1 SRO per 750 kids. We don't want to drop below 2.
he's got to keep a female in.
Right now, we do have 1 female at West High, and the other 3 are males. The SSOs, some of them has already reached out to me. They've heard about this as well and are interested in, and they're already been through the police academy. They may have to do the transition, so they've reached out, interested in this job. And I don't think possibly that we can get an SRO in every school at the first of the school year. It's going to be a work in progress, but we've got to move forward on it.
Could I address the mayor, please, on one of his figures there? The startup cost 1.5 for 20, and it's not in the budget now. How do we propose to move forward on that?
The details of what we have to work out with the city and the schools
Okay, so that's yet to come. My bad.
and the state grants.
That it?
That's it.
Sheriff Mullins, we thank you for your service to all your officers, for chopping the budget, for being very conscientious, but most of all for keeping us safe. Anybody, I've said this before, I'll say it again, anybody that straps a gun to their side to go to work, you're a better man than me. And I taught for 32 years, so but we really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Chairman, that's all we've got for tonight. Tonight was just for the Sheriff's Department. Tuesday of next week, we'll have the presentations from the organizations that are asking for money, some of them for asking for the first time. And then we'll also have the presentation on our health insurance.
The 17th, that's next Saturday. You going?
When do you think you'll have the information for the SROs?
We just need to know if you're going, you have to get a ticket.
Right.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a few questions? We were kicking around wheel tax last night, and I when we were here Tuesday night, and I've got no eyes to tell about it. It racked my brain. I just have a couple of questions. The 12 cents that you pulled from the school fund, and it's already in the property tax, if I understand correctly. Okay. When you pull that back, did any of that by any chance go to the paving, being that we are in such desperate need, and that's everybody's concern at this point?
No, we moved it to the general fund to help cover the cost of staffing the jail. That was the primary purpose for that.
Okay. Is there any way that we could do either 12 cents of that to paving to catch us up, or a portion of it, 3/4 of it?
That's yours. We can do a penny.
If we did that, that would be a good start on the roads.
Well, that's something we're going to discuss.
Well,
on
I'm
how
just
to do
asking
that.
questions while I had the chance, sir.
Yeah.
But it is something I'd like to see. I know me and Mr. Harley were talking downstairs. Most folks cannot afford an increase otherwise, especially property taxes. And wheel tax, me and Miss Hale were talking about it today. If we throwed it into a wheel tax, $27, it'd make it $83 a vehicle. So it's something I'd love for us to look at, because I can't see us not using it where it's needed.
Well, now, but the 12 cents is going his way. We just out loud, the 12 cents is going your way.
So is it all needed there is the next question.
Yes.
There's nothing left.
If you notice, we've got to fund 41 new employees, and that was a major expense that's looking at us. If you move that 12 cents that he's talking about, we'll have to replace that with something else.
That doesn't count the resource officers either. We have,
Right, that's still to
Haven't got to
come.
that yet.
That's still to come.
Yeah, but will a large portion of those be covered with that 70,000 per school, out of curiosity?
the grant
Just about half.
supposedly will cover the salary, but there's another $1.5 million
Right.
of startup costs.
See, that's the thing. They tell you they're gonna give you this money in this grant, but it doesn't pay for everything.
Right,
Right.
it's just,
It's just the salaries.
And that's it.
It's
Right.
the
But
person.
not the startup cost.
But not the startup cost,
Right.
or to keep it going.
And that's another $1.5 million.
Right.
Is the 12 cents a one, just because this was our lucky year, or do we get it every year? Will he get it every year?
It'll be in the general fund every year.
For him, okay.
So, yes.
Yes, sir, thank you, okay.
Mayor, if you could too, since we're talking wheel tax, if you could get us the information of what the wheel tax is in other counties around, so we can see where we compare. I think that's information we need.
And also, I think you had mentioned one other time about, seeing what sales tax would come, what you could work out sales tax towards roads. Yes, sir, okay.
Well, with the growth, Matt, one more question. With the growth that you had projected, and I thank God that you're as astute as you are about that. But with the growth in sales tax that you had projected and so forth, could we not use part of that to start our paving project? No offense intended, our roads are horrible.
Yeah.
And it is the biggest complaint I'm still hearing. I don't know about the rest of you, but I average a lot of phone calls each month because our roads are what they are. And I would love to see us be able to use some of the growth money from sales tax or otherwise. Now, I know we need to take care of our jail. And I thank God we've got the officers we've got, so thank God for them. But
Amen.
can we not use some of that instead of raising a wheel tax or anything else? I worry about the wheel tax being a your poison deal, and that scares me.
Ms. Green, in a previous meeting, we had asked the mayor to bring us a plan together. He's going to bring us one, so.
Well, I understand, but I was going to take the
There's no
opportunity
sense
to
in
ask
sitting here
Mr. Long.
hashing it out till he brings it to us.
Well, it doesn't hurt to ask questions, sir. Hopefully.
As far as the sales tax projections, well, cents of property tax, the property tax money moved from schools to the general fund will be replaced by sales tax that has to go to the schools.
Okay.
There's no option.
Okay.
It's the first 50 cents of the local option sales tax that is, by law, has to go to schools. So they've collected like over 2 million more than what they've been budgeted. And so this is an opportunity to move property tax to the general fund for use there, and then just raise the budget for the sales tax. So that's what we're voting on. So then there is the second half of the sales tax, which you guys can decide where it goes. The bulk of that goes to sanitation. And we did move $63,000 of sales tax that went to debt service. We moved it to highway. Try to make up $62,000. The rest of the local option sales tax that you guys control is most of it sanitation, and then the rest of it goes to highway.
Is there any way that you could give us information if our funds are as good as I think they are by what you've given us? And thank you. You've given us very complete reports, and I appreciate that. But is there any way that we could pull from those funds without having to pull another tax, whether it's wheel tax or anything else? I mean, the way it's represented, we are in excellent shape, and thank God for it. But is there a way that we can pull from those funds and not have to put back because we've got such a good fund balance?
That's, well, for example, and I'll come with some ideas, but just for an example, with the general fund right now has roughly $9 to $10 million in fund balance. The general fund does, but you cannot take cash money from the general fund and move it to the highway fund. You can't do that because that money was appropriated for the general fund.
Okay.
So legally, you can't do that. Now, next year, you could move some of those revenue sources from the general fund to highway, but it would be for next year. You can't take cash money out of that.
So
I didn't know that.
if we did that, we would have to do it for next year, not this year.
Correct.
Am I understanding?
That was one of the reasons, Ms. Green, that Barry had came with us for more equipment, where he could get road preparation done and give us time to, give him time to get roads prepared when we did have a balance where they could start paving. Because right now, as the mayor has told us, we don't have any money for paving in our budget. And even if you move part of your wheel tax, it's going to take a while to move that fund balance. To build that fund balance, what is it, 300,000 that they're saying per mile? So 3 miles is $1 million, or almost $1 million. That's a lot.
I had heard the figure 3 million, so I agree with you.
Okay.
But I'd just like to find a way to start on it.
I understand. I mean, we're all wanting that too. And we all hear the same thing. Roads are very important, and obviously the mayor is looking at finding a way that we can get on this program.
You know, we've let it go for many years. I've said in this meeting for the last 7 years. And as far as putting money out there for that, it's not been done. It's been put everywhere else.
I think
So
you're looking
it's-
at a commission that's looking to do that, to
Well,
make a
it's something
difference.
we need to look, not to cut you off, sweetie, but it's something that we need to look at, and now is the time to start.
We stand adjourned.
I didn't mean that as